All right, good morning, everybody. Definitely hope everybody's doing well. Thank God it is Saturday. Definitely a rough work week this week for sure. But now I definitely want to turn my attention to the actual slight risk that we're going to see in the Northeast. It's definitely going to be pretty interesting for sure. All right, so this is definitely going to be an interesting event day for sure. Let me pull up some of the data here. As you can see on screen now, you guys can definitely see that slight risk. It definitely encompasses Eastern Ohio, much of Pennsylvania as well, including the World Weather Authority studio area, and all the way across the state as well, down through Delaware, New Jersey, much of New York, and the Northeast as well being affected by this slight risk. So we're definitely going to take a look at some of the data here as well. So let's take a look at some of the summary information here. Let me zoom in a little bit so that way you guys can see it. So severe weather outbreak continues this evening across a large portion of the Mississippi Valley. We'll definitely take a look at that later as well. So multiple strong tornadoes have occurred and long track storms remain likely. A violent tornado will be possible within the high risk areas. Lots of intense damaging winds. So that's definitely very interesting. So that was actually yesterday. So definitely we had some very strong tornadoes, unfortunately, in eastern Iowa. We had a plethora of tornado warnings across Mississippi. Even some in Oklahoma. We had some in Ohio as well. It was definitely pretty crazy. Definitely a very, very crazy night last night. But let me pull up some of this data for you. So I will leave this on screen for you guys. Let me pull something up quickly here. Just to pull up some of the actual SPC data. But like I said, I'm going to leave this on screen so you guys can see that image there. It's not too zoomed in, I hope. Let me see here. I think right there is fine. That should be perfect there. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting day. So let's take a look at this. So we have an upper level low currently located over western Iowa's forecast to advance to southern Lake Michigan by daybreak. So that's actually has occurred already. And then into western New York by early evening as well. We're definitely looking at a lot of height falls out there. So we're looking at low pressure definitely advancing into the area. So we're going to have some pressure falls. And unfortunately, that's going to lead to some unsettled weather here in the Northeast. So this is going to spread ahead of this feature across the Ohio Valley into the northern mid-Atlantic by the end of the period. So earlier this morning, several lengthy QLCS structures were progressing across the Ohio-Tennessee Valley regions. So that was definitely pretty good. There was a couple severe thunderstorm warnings earlier this morning. We did have a few rumbles of thunder here in the Pittsburgh area as well. But we're definitely going to take a look at some of this. Some of the latest model guidance is suggesting strong surface heating along with cooling mid-level temperatures will result in a fairly buoyant air mass across eastern Ohio. It's actually going to start happening here in the next few hours. It's definitely going to be pretty interesting. This will be very supportive of deep layer shear as well as supercells. We're also looking at steep lapse rates will also favor some hail as well. There's definitely a very, very strong concern today, very large concern for damaging winds across the area today. We are in a high wind warning here in the Pittsburgh area. Winds in excess of 60, possibly even 70 miles an hour could definitely knock out power. So guys, please keep your cell phones charged. Mine is currently on the charger right now. So I'm definitely making sure that that is staying charged. So to friends and family as well, definitely keep your cell phones charged as well. If you are venturing outdoors today, please try to use caution while you're out there. It could definitely be a very, very breezy day. Very gusty, damaging winds as well. Be careful of loose objects out there. If you do have any loose objects, try to secure those if you can, at least within the next hour or so. As those winds definitely start to pick up outside. Unfortunately, like I said, power outages are going to be an issue today. Hopefully, hopefully there's not major power outages here. We definitely don't want to see that. It would definitely not be good. But like I said, make sure you guys keep your cell phones charged today as these storms and these winds actually start cranking up here in the next few hours. So we definitely have to be on the lookout for that. Like I said, I may activate chase mode today. I do drive an SUV, so I do classify as a sort of higher profile vehicle. So I definitely, if I do go out today, I'm definitely going to be very cautious I definitely don't want to go too far from home today, just because of these winds. It could definitely cause issues along the roadways out there. It definitely can be very dangerous. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try to do that today. We will see what happens. If I do that, you guys will definitely see the live stream later on. I'm thinking maybe around lunchtime, maybe around 1 or 2 p.m., somewhere in that range. It's definitely where I'm going to try to go out there and sort of show you guys what's going on in the area. Definitely, it's going to be very dangerous out there. Definitely trees, power lines, things like that are going to be coming down. Loose objects. I've seen, last time we had a high wind warning, I've actually seen a lot of trampolines flying as well. Not like soaring through the air or anything, but I've seen them, blowing across roadways, in the middle of roadways as well. Definitely dodging trash cans is definitely going to be number one out there today. So it's definitely going to be very interesting as we head on into later on today. But yeah, it's definitely, we're going to have some supercells coming in as well, so we're going to have to watch this. We could definitely see strong winds mixing down to the surface, especially if a squall line definitely develops, or a quasi-linear convective system, QLCS, which some of the model data is hinting at. We'll definitely take a look at that. But yeah, it's a maturing, surging squall line, or QLCS, would definitely pose a greater wind threat, unfortunately, and it does look like we're going to start getting into that action later on. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I've seen that the National Weather Service has actually considered higher wind probabilities and sort of a higher level of warning today as well, if a squall line or such storm or like that definitely develops here. So we definitely have to keep an eye out on this as well. We also have that severe risk in the southeast as well, so let's take a look at that. Let me go down here just to show you guys. So we do have that slight risk down here in the southeast. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this. There we go. So we're still looking at deep layer flow here. It's definitely going to become gradually more westerly as time marches onward, right along the Gulf states here. So we're looking at Alabama, Georgia, and even into South Carolina and northern Florida as well. So we're definitely have to be on the lookout for that. We could definitely see some strong storms developing here. Unfortunately, prefrontal convection is definitely going to be on the uptick here as well, just due to the activity from yesterday moving into the region. So it's definitely going to be crazy. We're also going to have organized line segments, squall lines, and QLCSs definitely developing, and clusters of storms as well. So we're going to have multicellular storms developing, and unfortunately that's going to pose a very major flood risk, especially across Georgia today, as we move into later this morning, later in the afternoon hours. We're also going to see damaging winds as well, and a tornado or two can definitely not be ruled out in both areas, actually, in both slight risk areas. So let me go back to the national map here just to show you guys. So we're definitely going to be on the lookout for tornadoes. So if we actually go to the actual tornado parameter here, the most likely area that tornadoes are going to develop today will be eastern and southeastern Pennsylvania, over through Delaware and New Jersey today as well, and even into portions of extreme southern New York as well. We're going to have to be on the lookout for that. But we do have that 2% area in the green shaded regions. This does include the Pittsburgh area, so we're going to have to watch out. Some cells could be very supportive of tornadoes today, and this does include the southeast as well. So it's definitely be pretty crazy. So we're looking at southern Alabama, eastern Alabama as well, northern Florida, even into Georgia, South Carolina, and to North Carolina as well. We're going to have to be on the lookout. And good morning, Marlene. Definitely hope you are doing well. Definitely glad to see you here. Definitely God bless you as well. Definitely glad to see you. Hopefully those storms last night didn't impact you too much. I definitely hope that everything is okay in your neck of the woods for sure. Unfortunately, I know there was a lot of damage yesterday, especially in the Little Rock area. As I said in the video yesterday, Little Rock was going to get slammed, and unfortunately, my words actually came to fruition yesterday. They actually did get hit by a tornado, and that eastern Iowa tornado yesterday was definitely very, very intense. Yeah, it was definitely pretty crazy. I would like to show a video of that. Unfortunately, I do not want to get copyrighted on my channel. So if you guys head on over to YouTube or Twitter, head on over to the search bar on YouTube, or head into Twitter, type in Iowa tornado, even Little Rock tornado, you guys can definitely see the footage there. Like I said, I'm really not comfortable showing that on stream, unfortunately. One reason is copyright, two is because it actually impacted a lot of people, and unfortunately, that would not be actually, it wouldn't be right for me to show some of that on stream, just because of the devastation that was actually shown there. So definitely, you guys, if you guys are interested, definitely take a look at that. I know Reed Timmer almost intercepted a tornado yesterday. Unfortunately, he got stopped by a red light, and the tornado crossed in his path. Probably I'd say maybe two football fields away, maybe less than that. So if you head on over to Reed's channel, definitely subscribe to his channel as well, and subscribe to here to World Weather Authority as well. We definitely want to make sure you guys get the latest updates. So yeah, it's definitely pretty crazy. So that's good. That's good to hear, Marlene. I'm definitely glad you guys are blessed. Little Rock and they did get hit hard yesterday, unfortunately. Like I said in my video, it's a shame to see that my words actually came to fruition yesterday. But like I said, I'm here to provide the utmost accuracy in terms of updates. So speaking of accuracy, let's actually take a look at some of the model data here that we have coming in. So I definitely want to show some of that data. One spotted near us didn't touch down. That's good. Yeah, that's definitely good to hear. I believe it was just radar indicated, if I'm not mistaken, in that area. So definitely, I'm glad to see that you are safe for sure. So that's definitely good news. I'm definitely glad to hear that. It's definitely been a wild week in terms of weather for sure, and unfortunately we're getting ready to head into a more active pattern as well. I'll definitely show you guys what I'm talking about, but first I definitely want to focus on this activity here coming in into the Pennsylvania, Ohio area, and even up into New York. So let's actually take a look at the HRRR model, the latest data. It hasn't fully loaded yet. It's actually at 61%, but nevertheless, we'll definitely take a look at this. So you can see at 6 a.m. this morning, we definitely had that rain shield propagating through. We definitely had heavier showers and thunderstorms down here in West Virginia, just to the south of Weston and Mill Creek and Snowshoe as well, and even into portions of Maryland down through Oakland. So definitely right along the 219 and 50 corridor here to the south of Crellin. Definitely got hit, and you're very welcome. Yeah, no problem, Marlene. Definitely thank you for definitely joining me in the live stream. Definitely appreciate that. If you guys can definitely hit that like button, that would definitely be appreciated, and that way this video gets into the algorithm of YouTube, and this information gets spread far and wide. We definitely want this information to get into the hands that need it the most. So we move into 7 a.m. this morning. We still had a little bit of that rain in the Pittsburgh area. Definitely across Weirton, Steubenville, over through Cecil and Mount Lebanon as well. And Oakdale and McDonald saw some rain this morning around 7 a.m. So for those of you traveling out there, I know when Keith and I were coming home this morning, it was definitely pouring down rain. So it was definitely pretty crazy to see out there. It was ponding on the roadways, especially out here. There's an Aldi's out here. There's a Dollar Tree Plaza here. Right in between those, for some reason, I'm not sure why, but I'm not sure who built it this way. But the actual sewage drainage system there, so the water drainage system there actually is raised up a little bit. So when it rains heavily, the water actually ponds there. Which and sometimes actually floods pretty bad there. And unfortunately, it was like that this morning. I definitely wanted to take a video this morning, but unfortunately my phone was about 3% this morning, so I definitely had to throw it on the charger just in case of these high winds that are forecast to come through today would knock out power. So I'm definitely hope that we will remain untouched by those power outages. If you guys do experience power outages, just make sure you have your phone charged. Definitely try not to open your fridge. Open it as little as you can. Definitely, thank you. Appreciate that, Marlene. Definitely, we could definitely use prayers up here for sure. You never know; they can definitely get pretty intense. A lot of people say, I've had a lot of people tell me before that no, you live in Pennsylvania. The storms actually aren't that bad up here. Well, actually, they do get pretty crazy up here. But yeah, guys. So just to just iterate some interesting information and some useful information here, guys. So if you see power lines around trees, guys, definitely do not touch or remove the fallen tree branches near sagging or down power lines. Power lines that have fallen or near a tree following the storm can be extremely dangerous and require professional attention of a qualified technician. Report down power lines to your electric company out here, guys. So definitely, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people most likely calling the electric companies to inform them of down power lines, and that could definitely use some of the battery life of your phone as well. So definitely make sure, if you are going to make a call, make sure that sometimes, with electric companies, you can be on the phone for hours at a time, and you definitely don't want to do that in situations like this. Also, use caution around fallen branches hanging from trees as well. So avoid walking under or around trees that have visible limbs dangling or leaning as well. So doing so could definitely put yourself at risk from injury, from falling branches, or possibly even that tree coming down on you. Even the smallest tree branch on that tree could definitely cause some damage. I mean, if it's 10 or 20 feet up and you get hit with it, it's definitely not going to be a good day for you, unfortunately. So definitely please use caution, guys. So make sure your cell phones, your tablets, and your other electronic devices are fully charged today. Definitely keep supplies and emergency preparedness kit. So definitely get some water bottles together, some non-perishable foods as well. Get some blankets ready. Get some first aid supplies as well. Make sure you have fresh batteries for flashlights. Definitely get some candles. Do use caution with candles though. Try not to light a candle and then leave the room for too long. Definitely don't want that to happen. It could definitely cause a fire if that candle would topple over or something else like that would happen. Also, take shelter in a safe location as well, and avoid sitting near windows or glass doors. And make sure that your windows and doors are closed today as well. If that wind were to come in, and you have open, your windows are open, your doors are open, it could definitely knock things off of the wall that you have hanging up. Definitely cause injury to yourself or others, or even your pets as well. So definitely be on the lookout for that. So in the event you guys, if anybody out there does lose power, definitely avoid opening the refrigerator or freezer. Food will stay frozen in a fully loaded freezer for I'd say about 24 hours or so if the door remains closed. So definitely be on the lookout for that. You guys can definitely look at food safety guidelines as well, just in case. You never want to eat food that has been sort of thawing out in a freezer that has been without power for at least over 24 hours. That's definitely might not be a good decision there. Definitely check medications that require refrigeration to be sure that if they aren't affected by a prolonged interruption of power as well. Definitely consult your doctor if you aren't sure about this information. Definitely get the coolers ready today as well. So you guys can definitely keep some water in there, drinks, food, things like that. You can also keep medications in there that require refrigeration as well. And also be sure medical equipment has the appropriate backup for continued use as well. So if you have generators or things like that, definitely make sure those are fueled up today. Definitely make sure that you guys have that. And as always, if yourself or family member or friend or someone that's around you has a medical condition that will be impacted by an outage, definitely be sure you guys call 911 today. Definitely be sure to check on your neighbors, especially your elderly neighbors. Some of your neighbors may not be able to report an outage or call emergency services if they have lost power. So definitely definitely look out for your neighbors, especially your elderly neighbors today. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be an interesting day, folks. So we're definitely gonna keep that going, and agree. Definitely don't forget your pets, guys. Definitely pets are important. Thank you, Marlene, for that. You definitely don't want to leave your pets outdoors today. You definitely want to make sure your pets are indoors and safe with you as well. Definitely keep them away from open windows or doors, or even closed windows and doors, just in case if tree branches or anything like that gets actually sort of uprooted or lifted up into the air and thrown through that window. You definitely want to make sure that your pets are safe, as well as yourself. So let's actually step this model data forward a little bit. So it looks like we had a clearing around 8, which is right around this time now. It's about 8:17 here in the Northeast. There's a little bit of a blip showing up on the model data here between Moon Township and McKees Rocks, right along I-79 going north. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We're going to have this dry period. So let me zoom out a little bit. we are going to have this dry period here in the area until about right after lunchtime here, unfortunately, is when some of these storms are going to get their act together. So first off, we're going to have this sort of linear storm structure coming from Ohio here down near Cambridge, New Concord, Byesville, Pleasant City, Caldwell, right along the I-77 corridor here heading north, and along the I-70 corridor heading east and west here. This is eventually going to go through Barnesville, St. Clairsville, Bel Air, eventually through Cadiz, Wellsburg, and eventually here into the Canonsburg, Washington, Mount Lebanon, Pittsburgh area. So definitely be on the lookout. It's definitely going to be a very intense situation as we head throughout the day, especially around 2 p.m. You can see basically stretching from basically, let me go up to the north here. So probably right around Erie and even over Lake Erie as well, the city of Erie and Lake Erie, down through Meadville, Oil City. And it does look like the stronger cells are going to be here within Butler County, Allegheny County as well, around 2 p.m. today. So definitely please be on the lookout for some of these heavier downpours and stronger storms that come through. Unfortunately, as I said earlier, the Storm Prediction Center did say in their actual outlook that if any storms could definitely sort of get that linear structure going, that QLCS or squall line structure, unfortunately it's going to be able to tap into the mid-levels and eventually bring those mid-level winds down to the surface, which are very strong. We're looking at possibly 70 to 80 knot mid-level winds. Bring those down to the surface and produce 50 to 70 mile per hour winds here at the surface. So those are where the gusty winds are going to come in. That's definitely going to where the power outages are definitely going to possibly occur for the most part. So this actually includes Butler, over through Zelienople, Cranberry Township, McCandless, Ross Township, Moon Township, all the way down through Cecil and down through Cross Creek, Independence, West Middleton, Woodrow as well. So this is right around 2 p.m. With the actual heavy precipitation here from Mars, Wexford, down through McCandless, Sewickley Hills, Coriopolis, Emsworth, Ross Township, down through Bellevue, McKees Rocks, down through Oakdale, Sturgeon. This does include the 376 and the 79 corridor here. So definitely be on the lookout for this as well. This is going to include the McKees Rocks, the Pennsbury Village, Crafton, Carnegie, Greentree, Pittsburgh, Millvale, Mount Oliver, and Dormont. So definitely batten down the hatches, folks. It's definitely going to get pretty intense as we head into right after the lunchtime hour, right around 2 p.m. today. So we definitely have to be on the lookout for that. And as quickly as these storms come in, they will exit the area. So they will head off to the northeast here, over through Punxsutawney around, so within an hour they go from the Pittsburgh area to Punxsutawney, so definitely covering a very wide area in a short amount of time, so you can definitely see how fast these storm motions are going to be. So definitely be on the lookout for this. We may have some additional thunderstorms and rain coming in later on tonight, especially around the Canton, Akron, Kent, and Youngstown area, possibly even between the East Liverpool and Steubenville area. We're definitely going to have some of those cells. And even in the mountainous terrain here, along the 70 and 76 corridor, through Somerset, down through Milford, Rockwood, Berlin, even through Confluence as well, and eventually over into Bedford, Everett, Windber, Johnstown, all the way up through Hollidaysburg, Altoona, definitely going to get hit later on, Tyrone, and State College as well. But you can definitely see some of those stronger storms later on today are definitely going to be, let me actually back this up just a little bit. There's going to be some stronger storms developing here in southwestern New York near Jamestown, Salamanca here, Concord, Dunkirk as well, heading into the Buffalo region. So they're going to be over Lake Erie here, heading there right around 3 to 4 p.m. tonight, later this afternoon. And as we head forward into the 4 p.m. hour, Buffalo is already getting hit by some of these storms, definitely on the backside of these. We're going to have to watch out near the Rochester and Botvia area here, right along the 490 corridor and 90 corridor, as some of these, this definitely looks to be like a Boeing segment. Let me just show you guys. Let me trace on the screen here just to show you. So we have this linear structure here heading off to the north and south here. We have this curvature here. So we could have the possibility of cyclonic rotation here right in this area. So let me zoom in just to show you guys here. So this is going to be near East Pembroke here, Corfu, Pembroke, Attica, Bennington, and Batavia here. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Stafford as well. Right around the 4 p.m. time frame tonight. This will be heading to the northeast, right into Rochester later on, most likely around the 4:35 p.m. Time frame. But I definitely want to take this back a little bit, just to show you guys some of the other model data that we can see here. So this is actually composite reflectivity, so this just shows future radar. But I definitely want to get into some of the actual dynamics here, just to see how high the surface-based CAPE values or convective available potential energy will get. So it definitely looks like we're going to have some decent CAPE across the area today. So we're looking at just under 1,000 joules per kilogram here. So that's definitely a pretty buoyant atmosphere, if I say so myself. We're definitely going to have some probably some nickel-sized to quarter-size hail. I definitely wouldn't rule out some half-dollar size hail. We can definitely have some of that, especially up here towards Meadville and Erie as well. Those are going to be the areas that are definitely going to be most prone to hail today. Let's see here. Definitely want to look at the significant tornado parameter as well. So right around 1 p.m. today. So right down to the south of Wheeling, down through Waynesburg, Washington, heading into Woodsfield and New Martinsville. Definitely going to have that elevated risk for significant tornado parameter. So definitely tornadoes could definitely develop down here. We're only looking at 1.3, but still, nevertheless, that is definitely ample for producing maybe some land spouts, some weak tornadoes as well. And as we head into the 2 p.m. hour, we actually have some stronger possibilities here, just to the east of Grove City, right along I-80 here, heading into Monroe and Knox, Marianne as well, through Clarion, even up through Cranberry, Franklin, Oil City, Cochranton as well, up through Highway 27. This is 79, heading north towards Meadville from Grove City. So right in this area, we're looking at significant tornado parameters of at least 2 today. So it's on the low side, but still, we can definitely squeeze out a tornado or two in the area. I definitely wouldn't rule out tornadoes completely here. I definitely want to look at some of the storm relative helicity values as well. Let me see if I can pull that up here. There we go. Very curious. Let's go back into the 12 p.m. hour. We're definitely going to have some of that activity definitely stretching here. So we're looking at storm relative helicity values of 266 meters squared per second squared. So between 244 and 260 or 270 within the between Pittsburgh and Wheeling. We also have some of these values here across Lake Erie. So there could be some waterspouts today, just to the northwest of Cleveland today, and to the southeast of Detroit. So this is going to be upper Lake Erie here, to the southeast of Wheatley here. We're looking at SRH values of 464, so we can definitely squeeze out a few waterspouts up here across Lake Erie. Definitely wouldn't rule those out for sure. It's definitely going to be an interesting day up there. And it definitely looks like we have stronger cells starting to develop, just to the north of northern Cambria here, to the east of Rain as well. This is right along the Highway 286 and 219 corridor between Glen Campbell and Cherry Tree. So I'm very curious to see what values are actually going to be present here. Yeah, we're looking at values upwards of 600, even close to 650 here. So that's definitely possible to squeeze out some land spouts, possibly even a weaker tornado or two. Maybe EF0, EF1, nevertheless. Even if it is an EF0 or even a land spout, definitely take it seriously, folks. It could definitely cause destruction on a wide scale as well. So definitely be on the lookout for the possibility for tornadoes today. Let me flip back over to pivotal weather here. Definitely want to flip over to some of the model data here as well, just to show you guys. Definitely want to get some photographs in here and some of the potential hazards that we're going to expect later on today. So this is right around the 1 p.m. hour, so let's actually go right into the Pittsburgh area here. So yeah, we do have that chance for tornadoes. The possible hazard type is tornadoes. Take a look at that storm slinky as well. Let me zoom in a little bit just to show you guys. So basically, a storm slinky gives us sort of an idea of what the storm mode will be. So basically, we could see some bowing segments, definitely maybe a hook echo, definitely possibly developing. So it's definitely going to be an interesting day. We're going to have to watch out for bookend vortices. So basically, those are. Let me go back to Radar Omega rather quickly just to show you guys. I just want to draw on the screen real quick. So basically, just treat this area in pink and red here. Let's treat this as a bow echo here. So if we have a storm structure that looks like that, sort of a kidney bean shape, we have the low-level jet winds coming up behind this, and unfortunately, as those winds continue, so actually let's put this at time 1 here. As this moves a little bit over to the east, this is definitely going to start to get this kind of signature here with the low-level jet coming in behind it. So this would be time 2. And right in here, and even down here, we could start to get some of those tornadoes that could develop. So it's definitely going to be very interesting. So cyclonic and anticyclonic, most of the time here, the cyclonic rotation will definitely win out. And we'll get some, these are called bookend vortices. So they can develop into some land spouts, weaker tornadoes, sometimes even some stronger tornadoes if the storm system definitely allows. So let me actually put this on screen for you. So let me draw this one more time for you guys. So just imagine this as a storm cell. So right in here, just imagine if this had this hook echo shape. We have the low-level jet winds ramping up behind it. We will call this time 1. And as we step forward in time a little bit, this storm system will begin to head eastbound, and we'll get this kind of shape with the low-level jet winds still cranking behind it. Unfortunately, we would get this kind of structure here and this kind of structure here. So we're going to have 2 areas of rotation and possibly even some areas right along the front of this as well. So these are called bookend vortices, and they can definitely squeeze out smaller tornadoes, land spouts, and possibly even stronger tornadoes, but it definitely looks like we're going to see some weaker tornadoes today if they do develop in the area. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Let's actually go back to radar pivotal weather here. So let's take a look at this. As I said, we can definitely see that storm slinky there. So it's definitely pretty interesting. We could see some bowing segments. It's going to be very intense, definitely some strong winds. We're going to be looking at 65 degrees for a surface temperature and a 50 for a dew point. So definitely not too bad here in the Pittsburgh area. We are looking at SRH values on average of 277 meters squared per second squared. We usually like to see 250 for the possibility for developing supercells. So that's definitely pretty good here. And just to show you guys, I did see the lifted index here was at -7. So just to show you here, guys, let me go back a little bit. So this LI value right in here, so let me put my mouse cursor here. So we have at the surface -7 for the LI, or the lifted index. And basically what the lifted index is, it's pretty interesting actually. So it's basically describes, so it's basically the temperature difference between the environmental temperature and a selected air parcel that's actually lifted into the atmosphere at a given pressure height in the troposphere, which is the layer of the atmosphere that we actually are in. So it's definitely pretty interesting. So this temperature is actually measured in degrees Celsius. So when the value is positive, the atmosphere is pretty stable, and unfortunately when the value is negative, it's unstable. So you can definitely see we have that -7 here. And if you guys actually just do a quick Google search of the lifted index, so between less than -6 is a very unstable atmosphere. Severe thunderstorms will definitely be likely with lifting mechanism, which is definitely going to be that frontal zone that comes through later on today. So it's definitely going to be an interesting day for sure. So that's definitely some information there. I definitely like giving you guys that information. We're looking at surface cape values. Let me just go over a little bit here. So we're looking at surface cape of 1,202 joules per kilogram, so that's definitely pretty good. Precipitable water is only about 0.57, so we're still going to have a lot of precipitation in the area. But if supercells do develop here, we could possibly see some shelf clouds here, which would definitely be awesome to see. So we're going to be able to see some of that storm structure a little bit more easily. Unfortunately, there's a lot of trees, a lot of hills in this area, so that may unfortunately obscure some of the storm structure here. But that precipitable water value is down pretty low, about a little over half an inch. So that's definitely very interesting for this time of year, given the actual storm mode that's coming through. It's that more linear structure, so it's definitely going to be pretty interesting. So if anybody lives in the Pittsburgh area and gets any photographs of this, even if you don't live in the Pittsburgh area, if you are experiencing thunderstorms later on today or just any interesting weather phenomenon, you can definitely send us an email if you would like to. We could definitely feature those pictures on stream if you give us the permission to do so. You can send us an email at worldweatherauthority@gmail.com. That's actually provided in the description of this video, so you'll definitely find that there. Even in our about section as well, you definitely find that information there as well. But yeah, so it's definitely be an interesting day for sure. So it definitely looks like the D-Cape value is at 722. So it's definitely going to be very interesting. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of insight on what D-Cape actually is. It's definitely an interesting weather parameter for sure. And 722 is pretty good there. So it's definitely pretty interesting. So that's basically, that stands for downdraft Cape. Or downdraft convective available potential energy. So that's definitely pretty interesting there. But I always love giving you guys some of these little tidbits here. So it's definitely an important element, especially during thunderstorm season here. So like I said, it stands for, let me actually talk properly here. It stands for downdraft Cape. Hi, Hopper. You're okay. Thunderstorms are coming, huh? You can sense them. Yeah. But basically, the D-Cape can be used to estimate the potential strength of rain-cooled downdrafts with thunderstorm convection. It's similar to Cape or just normal convective available potential energy. Larger D-Cape values, however, are associated with stronger downdrafts. So that large D-Cape there of 722, if it goes over 800, that's definitely going to be an issue. Right now, we're looking at 722 joules per kilogram. So that's definitely up there for sure. But once it goes over 800, definitely all bets are off. You can definitely expect some 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts coming through. So I can definitely see probably about 60-65-mile-per-hour wind gusts coming through the area later on today, unfortunately. And then take a look at this. Let me zoom over a little bit. So we're looking at the surface temperature. Oops, zoom over a little bit. Sorry about that. So we're looking at that surface temperature of 65 degrees today. And just to give you guys some more information here. Sorry, I'm looking at that EHI value. Definitely looking at 2.5 there. Definitely get into that as well. But basically, so if we scroll over a little bit, and you guys can find all this information on pivotalweather.com. I do have a paid subscription. It's only $9.99 a month. It's well worth it for sure. But take a look at this. So we're sitting at a surface temperature of 65 degrees, and take a look at this convective temperature. So CONVT. So right in here, we're looking at 66. We're only 1 degree from reaching the convective temperature. So that's basically the approximate temperature that air near the surface must reach for cloud formation without a lifting mechanism like a frontal system, things like that. So basically, if the convective temperature is achieved, so like I said, we're only 1 degree away, 65 degrees. We're going to be, if we do reach that 66 or go a little bit higher today, it's going to be very interesting. We could definitely get some thunderstorms definitely firing off here very easily if we reach that convective temperature. So just to reiterate that, the convective temperature is the approximate temperature that air near the surface must reach for cloud formation without a lifting mechanism. So a frontal system doesn't even need to come through, which provides the necessary lift for cloud formation. But if we do reach that 66 degrees, like I said, we're only 1 degree away. If we do reach that, clouds are actually going to be able to form, which will lead to thunderstorms later on as well, maybe even stronger thunderstorms. without the actual necessary lifting mechanism to come through. So we wouldn't even need the frontal system. But with the frontal system coming through later on today, coupled with that achievement of the actual convective temperature, it's definitely going to make for a very interesting day today for sure. We do have some steep lapse rates there, 9.1 degrees Celsius per kilometer, so that's definitely very steep there. So let's take a look at the EHI. That stands for the Energy Helicity Index. So just to take a look at some of the values here. I can't remember those off the top of my head, so let me do a quick search on that. Let's see here. Alright, so values greater than 2 have been correlated to cyclonic supercells with increased tornadic potential. And unfortunately, we are looking at surface to 3 kilometer. We're looking at 2.5. So that's definitely pretty interesting. This is a surface to about 3,000 feet in the atmosphere. So yeah, we're definitely looking at values above 2. So we're definitely going to have some cyclonic supercells with increased tornadic potential here. So definitely not good, guys. It's definitely going to be a very interesting day. We definitely could see some tornado warnings here in the Pittsburgh area. So we definitely have to keep an eye out for that as well. So let's go forward 1 hour here. We'll go back, so we're at 1 p.m. Let's actually go to 2 p.m. here. You can definitely see marginal tornado, and it does look like convective temperature has been reached at that time, but unfortunately with the daytime heating, later on, the convective temperature actually goes up to 68 degrees. But at least for that time being, we can definitely see the formation of some interesting thunderstorms later on today, especially as we reach and get closer to that convective temperature. So we're going to still have marginal tornado risk, 0 to 1 kilometer, looking at about 60 knots. So if you take that knots value, so you can see this entire circle here, that's actually with this dashed line labeled 60, so we're right there. So the 1 kilometer winds are going to be about 60 knots. So to convert that to miles per hour, just multiply that 60 knots roughly by 1.15, and that'll give you the miles per hour, which is right around 69. So then the storm motions here, so we're looking at between 59 and 72 knots. So if we look at 59 knots, multiply that by 1.15, we're looking at storm motions of 68 miles per hour all the way up to, let me get the math going here, so 68 up to 83 mile per hour storm motions. So you can definitely tell these storm motions are going to be, the storms will definitely be rapidly moving across the area today. Dew point at 47 around 2 p.m. SRH at 266. It's definitely very good there. Cape values a little bit down from earlier, from 1,200 down to about 1,000. D Cape down as well. We're looking at 562, and let me zoom in so you guys can see some of these values here. LI down to -5, so definitely some convective potential there, but definitely down from -7. So the more negative the number, the stronger the storms you can definitely expect. So it's definitely very interesting. And as I said, the D Cape values have went from almost 800 down to 562. So we're still going to be expecting some severe winds later on today. The EHI value here, we're still looking at surface to 3 kilometer, about 2.1. Values greater than 2 indicate cyclonic supercells with enhanced tornado potential. So we're definitely have to keep an eye out on that later on today. Critical angles are at 36. Like I said, we'd like to see that more close to 90. So streamwise vorticity may not be able to be ingested into the actual storm cells today. And just to give you guys some information regarding streamwise vorticity, definitely want to pull up my notes here just to give you guys some information. Yeah, so some supercells do require a streamwise vorticity current in the forward flank downdraft for low-level mesocyclone and tornado development, so that mesocyclone can dynamically pipe down to the ground. So it's definitely pretty interesting. So let me give you an actual definition here of streamwise vorticity. So it's basically the component of vorticity that is parallel to the ambient velocity vector. So it's definitely pretty interesting. So the velocity vector would be the actual wind vector itself. So the streamwise vorticity is roughly parallel to that. So that basically allows for the generation of naturally occurring horizontal rolls of vortice or vortexes to be out ahead of frontal zones and out ahead of thunderstorms. And as the thunderstorms in the frontal system approaches, you get that lifting mechanism, that frontal zone, for example, and that allows with the streamwise vorticity, especially that critical angle being near closer to 90 degrees, you definitely want that to be almost perpendicular to the actual frontal zone itself, and allow that horizontal vorticity to be actually tilted and stretched into the vertical. That'll allow the mesocyclone to dynamically pipe down towards the ground and definitely produce tornadoes. So 36 isn't bad. Let me see what it was at 2 p.m. So 48. So that's definitely a lot better. So definitely 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. today, we're going to be on the lookout for tornadoes in the area. I can definitely see some radar indicated tornadoes here. At least radar indicated rotation, I should say, not tornadoes. Radar indicated rotation in the area later on today. And right around 3 p.m., guys, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., there's going to be zero severe weather in the area. We're still going to have some of those winds on the backside of this frontal system, though, as this low pressure system does eject off to the northeast. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I'm very curious, actually, to see some of the photographs here in southwestern New York here up near Jamestown. So we are looking at 59 degrees. Convective temperature is 60, so definitely we could reach that convective temperature and have clouds form without the actual presence of a lifting mechanism. Critical angles are near 60, so that's definitely a lot higher than they are here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Photograph is a lot more curved as well. SRH values of 202 meters squared per second squared. Cape value is a little bit higher as well. D Cape, though, we're looking at about 492 for D Cape, so definitely a lot lower up there. Surface to 3 kilometer, right around 1.9, so a little bit lower than what we like to see, a little bit lower than 2. So we definitely like to see 2. But the LI, the lifted index, is at -7, so we're definitely going to have that supercell potential today. And the supercell composite is at 4.8. And the significant tornado parameter will be right around 1.3. So relatively low, but we could still have the streamwise vorticity, especially given that critical angle of 60. Streamwise vorticity, and given that ventilation rate as well, so you can see the difference between the dew point and the temperature here. This would be the ventilation rate. That's definitely going to allow possibly the development of some stronger storms, even some supercells here. As we step forward an hour here, yeah, we definitely hit the convective temperature there, so that's definitely going to be pretty interesting. Critical angle has come down from 60 to 52 though. So that's definitely not good. The Cape values have gone up to 1,331. So that's definitely good there. That's definitely good news in terms of severe weather there. If you guys like severe weather in near Jamestown, New York, you're definitely going to like those values there. Values of 196 meters squared per second squared. So definitely probably some non-supercells. Maybe the potential for an embedded supercell along a squall line or a QLCS. That could be possible. But given that EHI down to 1.8, it may not be likely for a supercell to develop there. But let's take a look at near State College. Let's actually step this forward a little bit here. Marginal severe later on today. That dew point is down to 43, so that's relatively low, especially in central Pennsylvania. The critical angle is at 60. But we are marginal severe, though, just because we're looking at 66 for the temperature on top of a 43-degree dew point. Cape value is pretty low as well in the 500s, near 600. D Cape, though, is at 718, so definitely be on the lookout for some strong damaging winds. And given that shape of the storm slinky there, we're going to see a squall line with some embedded some embedded bow echoes in it. So definitely be on the lookout for those near State College today. Around the between 1 and 3 p.m. today. Let's take a look at Altoona as well. Just a little bit further down to the southwest, we're looking at 66 degrees with a little bit higher dew point, 46. Still looking at a sort of squall line type structure, so definitely be on the lookout for bookend vortices. However, 633 for the D Cape, so definitely some strong winds coming through as well. We can take a look at the mountainous terrain down through Somerset. Same thing, 60 degrees with a 45-degree dew point, so that's relatively good. D Cape at 523. Surface Cape at 442. Again, we're looking at more of a linear structure, squall line type setup. We're looking at EHIs though at 0.9. So it's definitely, it might not be possible to squeeze out a tornado in this area for sure. Let's head up towards Grove City. Definitely potential for tornadoes up here. The further north you go, definitely I can see that. 62 degrees on top of a 50-degree dew point. That's definitely pretty juicy for this time of year here. 247 meters square per second square, just under the 250 that we at the threshold. It's not really a defined threshold. It's just basically sort of a placeholder threshold there. 1407 for the Cape values. That's very high. D Cape at 623. So we're definitely looking good there for some strong winds. This storm slinky though is looking very good. We're looking at a sort of Boeing structure of the actual storm system itself, and supercell values. Supercell composite values of 6.9, definitely very good there. And unfortunately, we're looking at EHIs of 2.8, so almost near 3. So that's definitely getting there to the potential, closer to the potential of tornadoes up to the north. Let's actually go to Lake Erie, right in the city of Erie. 61 degrees with a 49-degree dew point. That's pretty good there, actually. D Cape of 578, so we're definitely going to have some winds. Most likely in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range there. 0 to 1 kilometer, about 40 knots. So that's definitely pretty good there. Definitely a low-level jet's going to be cranking there. We also have this storm structure. We're going to have that linear segment with the Boeing structure as well. Critical angle at 57, so that's very good. Definitely streamwise vorticity could easily be ingested into those storms, definitely producing tornadoes there. Curious about over Lake Erie as well. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, still 41 degrees, 38-degree dew point. It's a very interesting setup there. D Cape of 407. Definitely marginal tornado. Most likely will be some water spouts right up in the Lake Erie area. Let's see. Let's actually go a little bit further north. I definitely want to take a look at Buffalo just to see what's going to go on there later on today. There we go. And take a look at that. Just within an hour, the storm relative velocity goes from 20 and shoots all the way up to 242. So we're looking at the addition. Let me see if this is actually going to work properly here. Let me see. There we go. Oh, I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. I try to put some interesting segments in. I do apologize if I sound like a robot. Last night was definitely a rough night at work. I only got about half an hour to an hour of sleep today. I wanted to make sure that I got on here to actually show you guys the weather here. So actually, this is definitely pretty interesting up here near Buffalo. We're looking at a 60-degree temperature with 48-degree dew point. Convective temperature is at 63, so it's unlikely that we're going to reach the convective temperature today. 242 SRH values, so that's very good. We'd like to see it right around 250. So that's right in that range. Surface to 3 kilometer EHI at 1.7, so that's a little bit under, sort of underperforming. But still, we could definitely see the potential for supercells. Most likely it's going to be a linear structure with some very strong winds. We're going to see winds probably between 45 and 55 mile per hour. So we're looking at sort of a linear structure with Boeing segments as well, so that's definitely going to be expected here. Let's go to the Rochester area. Definitely very interested to see what's looking like here. So let's actually move forward a little bit. Yeah, 187. Much omega values come in, so that's definitely where the winds are going to be. 187 for the SRH value, so that's definitely, unfortunately, that's sort of underperforming. The EHI, or Energy Helicity Index, is sort of underperforming as well, 0.9. D Cape is at 530. Surface Cape is at 572. Marginal severe, you can definitely see 0 to 1 kilometer really isn't that curved here. So definitely there may be potential to squeeze out a tornado, but I'd rather say probably maybe a land spout, weaker tornado, if anything. It's definitely going to be more of a wind event. Definitely a hail event up here as well. We're going to have to watch out for the hail up through Jamestown, Buffalo, Rochester, and even up into our northern counties here in Pennsylvania. And that's about covers it. Let's actually head down to the south. So let's actually head down to Macon, Georgia here. So just to give you guys, this is about 1 p.m. today. So definitely going to take a look at that. Oh, yeah, no problem. Definitely thank you, Marlene, for joining me. I definitely appreciate it. So right down here near Macon, Georgia later on today, right around 1 p.m., 272 for the SRH value. So that's definitely very interesting. 73-degree temperature on top of a 70-degree dew point. So very moist here. Supercell composite of 12.6, so that's very high. You can definitely see that curvature forming in the photograph here from 0 to 1 kilometer. You like to see this curvature, especially right here. You can see that very pronounced curvature. So definitely good. We're going to look at about 40 knot low-level jet. So it's definitely very good. Possible hazard is definitely going to be tornadoes. You can see that storm slinky definitely looking very promising, sort of like a hook echo shape. So we're going to have to watch that very carefully as we head on into the right around lunchtime and between 1 and 2 p.m. as well down here in central Georgia. Cape values of 2,320, so that's definitely higher than anything we've seen up here. LI, so lifted index about -7, very good. D Cape is up 350, so I definitely expect maybe some 40-mile-per-hour winds, possibly 45-mile-per-hour gusts. It doesn't look like it's going to be anything substantial unless some of these segments can definitely bow out and tap into the low-level jet there. So it's definitely pretty interesting. Let's head over to Augusta here. So we're basically looking at the same thing. We're looking at sort of a higher temperature here, 77 degrees on top of a 65-degree dew point, 211 SRH value. LI of -4, so that's a little bit less. These could definitely be non-supercell tornadoes down here. Definitely some weak tornadoes. If you look at the SARS sounding analogs here, you can definitely see some of these popping up. So you can see .DRT, .RQB here. You can see weak. So some weak supercells developing, and definitely 60% chance of weaker tornadoes as well. So it's definitely pretty high for some weak tornadoes here along the Georgia-South Carolina border. So we'll definitely have to keep our eyes out on that as well. These cells here to the east of Columbia definitely look promising. So let's actually go over to near the Florence area. Definitely marginal severe, 79 degrees for the surface temperature, 61-degree dew point. It's definitely going to feel very soupy out there, 151 SRH value. D Cape about almost 400, so that's definitely good there. 151 SRH value, storm relative felicity. Cape values of 941. Definitely marginal severe. We're definitely looking at a little bit of a curvature in the photograph, not as much as we would like. Definitely some hail here, some 1-inch hail, so we're definitely going to look at quarter-size hail down here. We'll take a look at that storm slinky as well. We could definitely see some bookend vortices developing. So it's definitely sort of mimicking that structure coming in into the Florence area around 2 to 3 p.m. today. So let's just step that forward, and yep, there it is, right through the Florence area around that time frame. I'm very curious though to see when this actually reaches the Myrtle Beach area. So let's take a look at this forecast sounding for Myrtle Beach. Very interesting. Let me go forward one more. Marginal severe, as I expected, 64-degree temperature on top of 62-degree dew point. So it's definitely quite possible that some low-level clouds are definitely going to be possibly maybe even some fog coming into the area. It's definitely possible as those temperature and dew point get closer to each other there. Precipitable water values at 1.62. So it's definitely very high. Let me zoom in here. So you can see that PW value at 1.62. So that's about high precipitation supercell, if any supercell does develop. Unfortunately, EHI is basically at 0, and surface cape is basically at 0 as well. And SRH values are very low. So these are going to be some non-supercell type storms later on today. So they're going to be more like pulse thunderstorms. So it's definitely very interesting as we head out through the afternoon and evening hours tonight. But basically, that's all I wanted to cover here. Actually, let me show you one more thing. Let me pull this up on screen here. So this is for the folks from friends and family that live in the area. So I definitely want to pull this up rather quickly here. So let's show this on screen, as I mentioned before. It's a little bit hard to see. Let's put this, move this over to this screen so I can zoom in a little bit. And let's see. Actually, you know what? We're going to leave this over here. We're going to pull it up that way. Alright, let me see here. Let me see if I can fix this on stream here. There we go. Hopefully this works out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Very odd. OBS tends to act up sometimes, which is really weird. No worries though, we'll get this fixed. Alright. Hi, Hops. Hi, Hopper. You're okay. Alright, let me see here. Let me actually pull up Radar Omega real quick. Let me try to fix this little bug in OBS. Let me see here. See why this is sort of doing this today. There we go. Let me pull up the right information this time. Sorry guys, do this on the fly. Alright, there we go. So we're basically looking at a high wind warning today through the Pittsburgh area. This includes Allegheny, Washington, Greene, Westmoreland, Fayette, Indiana, Brooke, Ohio, Marshall, Wetzel, Marion, and Monongalia. Includes the cities of Pittsburgh metro area, Greensburg, Morgantown, Lower Borough, Latrobe, Uniontown, Washington, New Martinsville, Wheeling, New Kensington, Wellsburg, Indiana, Moundsville, Fairmont, Murraysville, Follinsby, Monessen, Waynesburg, and Cannonsburg. Looking at a high wind warning in effect until 8 p.m. tonight this evening. So southwest winds sustained at 30 to 40 miles per hour there, with gusts up to 60, possibly even 70 expected. So it's definitely pretty crazy to see here. Let me see. It's actually a little cut off here, so let me do this. There we go. Now we shouldn't be cut off there. So this is for portions of southwest and western Pennsylvania, portions of northern and northern panhandle of West Virginia. Till 8 p.m., damaging winds will blow down trees and power lines. Widespread power outages are expected. Travel will be difficult, especially for high-profile vehicles. Remain in lower levels of your home during the windstorm and avoid windows. Watch for falling debris and tree limbs, and use caution if you must drive outdoors, guys. So definitely appreciate it, guys. Definitely thank you for joining me on this stream today. Definitely appreciate it. Thank you, Marlene. Definitely thank you, VR, for joining as well. And agreed, 70 is definitely possible today, unfortunately. Most likely it's going to be in the 50s and 60s today for the actual wind gust. Unfortunately, there's going to be a few reports of 70 mile per hour wind gusts today. The National Weather Service is saying 60, but I do expect in some of the actual squall line storms that develop here, we're definitely going to start to see some of the 70s mixing in as well. So unfortunately, it's going to be a crazy day here. But thank you guys for joining me. If you enjoy the content here, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. Also hit that like button as well. Definitely share this information out there to those that need it the most. And definitely, guys, love hearing from you. So definitely, you can always shoot us an email anytime you guys want at worldweatherauthority@gmail.com. If you want to send us pictures of weather, definitely by all means. If you would like us to show those on stream, we definitely will. We'll definitely credit you if you'd like as well. We'll definitely put your name in the actual stream itself, with your permission, of course. You're very welcome. No problem at all. Definitely. I can definitely see 70s in the higher elevations off to the east in the mountainous terrain there as well. Especially down into our southern counties, like down towards Preston County, Garrett County as well. Could definitely get into the 60s and 70s down there. In the Pittsburgh area, we're most likely going to see about 50s. We'll probably see about 55, maybe 60. Definitely in the Pittsburgh area today. But like I said, there's gonna be a few instances of 70 mile per hour winds, and unfortunately, there's gonna be some precipitation as well. We're gonna be looking at between a half an inch up to about an inch of rainfall today as well. Storm structure is going to be very interesting. We're actually going to see some of that storm structure. Given the elevated mix layer that's actually going to be over the area today, it's going to help carve out those low-level clouds. It does look like here in World Weather Authority studio, it does look like the sun is starting to shine a little bit out there. Unfortunately, that's going to create the potential for some daytime heating as well. Definitely provide the fuel necessary for these storms to develop. But definitely appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, definitely hit that subscribe button if you guys are enjoying the content here. Definitely hit that like button as well. Definitely leave a comment down below. Our email is actually in the description of this video and in our about section, but it is worldweatherauthority@gmail.com. So definitely, like I said, feel free to message us at any time. If you have any questions about weather or anything, we'll definitely try to get back to you in a timely manner for sure. Like I said, if you take any pictures today or of any videos and you would like us to share those on stream, or if you just want to share them with us, us and only us, we don't have to put them on stream. Just make sure you guys put that in the actual body of the email itself. If you guys would like to have your name displayed on there, it could just be your YouTube name. It doesn't have to be your actual name. Or if you want to go by sort of, you can go anonymously if you'd like. Just make sure you provide that in the actual email itself. We'll be more than happy to look at those pictures as well as share those on stream as well, of course, with your permission. But definitely thank you guys for joining me here. I might activate storm chase mode here. We're going to see what goes on. Definitely need to get some caffeine. So we're going to see what's going on here. Definitely going to try to get my hands on some caffeine here. But definitely appreciate you guys. If I do activate storm chase mode, you guys will definitely see the live feed here on YouTube. So definitely appreciate it. I am trying to get actually a new phone here because I want to start flying the drone around again. So that's definitely awesome. I definitely want to have some live streams of the drone footage as well. So that's definitely pretty cool. Keith and I are we're going to start a mythology YouTube channel here soon, where we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're actually going to break down the book known as Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. So it's definitely a very interesting read. Definitely highly recommend that book. There's definitely a lot of knowledge in there. And definitely a lot of information about secret societies and things like that. So that's definitely pretty cool. Whether it be fact or fiction, it's definitely pretty awesome. But definitely Manly P. Hall's book, known as Secret Teachings of All Ages, is definitely pretty cool. But definitely shout out to BDRP. Thank you, brother, for always giving us a shout out on your channel. If you guys haven't checked out BDRP here on YouTube, definitely please head on over to his channel and hit that subscribe button and like every last video that's been posted. Also, thank you to Dark Waters as well. We definitely appreciate your knowledge and definitely your advice as well. It's definitely awesome to be part of the Dark Waters family. Definitely, guys, head on over to iamdarkwaters.com. I believe that's still the website. I may be mistaken, but yeah, definitely head on over there. Definitely check out his YouTube channel as well. I'm sure he has all the latest information regarding his website there. It's definitely worth the subscription, guys. It's definitely awesome. So definitely check out his content there. Definitely head on over to Marlene's channel. Definitely hit that subscribe button as well. Definitely head on over to VR and subscribe. Definitely, you guys are awesome. We definitely appreciate you guys joining us. But I'm gonna jump off of here, go try to find some caffeine and maybe a bite to eat. But all right, guys, I'll definitely see you out there. And always remember,